we've got an extremely special guest on the pod sitting on my left. So did we tease this announcement a little while ago? I think we may have just...
I think what we said is this year, but like I usually will say things like some big things are happening, and I'm not sure if people believe it. But we said this year some big things are happening with the pod.
You're Babe Ruth-like and you're calling a shot.
It turns out I was telling the truth.
This time.
Big things are happening.
So we are thrilled that Will Hayward, who's been a good friend of mine for many years, is coming on as co-founder and CEO of The Contrarians Co. So we're finally becoming a real thing, Adir, after 207 episodes.
I know that's worrying because when I roll in here, 20 minutes late, relaxed, I'm like, we're just chatting.
Now someone can turn you off.
It's just a podcast. Now we have to be serious about this thing.
Well, Adam phoned me a few months ago and said, look, we've got this pod thing going on. And I wasn't quite so sure about it. He said, look, I guarantee you Adir will share his workout plan. If you and it's not eventuated yet. But
I see your biceps already gotten bigger.
Oh, well,
you are a black belt in something, so you probably don't need Adir's bicep regime. But
so we can say something that is true now, because that is not true.
The black belt's true, the bicep was a question.
My workout plan is Kezo, who we're never going to talk about again until they pay us. No, I have to talk about them.
I saw Brett last week, actually.
They've been so good. So this is true. I said to you, it feels like this pod is reaching like quite a large number of people, but I feel like it could be something much bigger. And we should get, I literally said this to you, we should get the best person in media to come and build this out as a media business.
This was about 6 months ago, I think.
And you were, as usual, we have this dynamic, which people maybe don't realise, which is I'm overly ambitious too early. and I'm like, we can do it. And it takes you a while to be like, like brushing me off. And then I wake up one day, literally, 3 or 4 months later, and it's like, oh yeah, there's this amazing guy, you know him, I think we're going to get him to be the CEO. I'm like, well, how did that happen? Well, what were you doing in that 3 months? I thought you were just brushing me off.
Beavering away.
And my mind was blown that you were talking about Will.
We're pretty I've known Will for probably 6 years now. So we worked at Private Media together. You basically saved Private Media from almost certain death, for better or worse. But this is obviously Crikey Private Media and Crikey Smart Company and the Mandarin. And before that, you were at BuzzFeed in the UK. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how we're able to snare you?
Sure. So as you might be able to guess by my accent and sort of sharp tailoring. I'm a Brit originally, so I moved to Australia 8 years ago. At that point, with 2 beautiful English sons. I now have 3 awful Australian sons with mullets and every name ends with O or Y or whatever.
Who are better at almost every sport as a result of moving to Australia.
Significantly better.
Your lovely wife's Australian, which I think is why you moved.
Yeah, so we moved there. So Liz got a job at Google. We had a very happy life.
It's a power couple, you two.
See,
well, you are now,
and we wanted the life that Australia offers, and we've been here for 8 years. We think it's a fantastic country to live in. Like every country, it has things that could be better, and you two have done a great job of talking about some of those things. But we're very, very happy here. As Adam said, my career has largely been in media. So I worked at the Wall Street Journal for a number of years. I worked at The Economist for a number of years. I was the first hire for BuzzFeed outside of the States, so we built that into a pretty meaningful thing, even though now it's not doing so well.
It is a logical trajectory. I just want to point this out. Wall Street Journal, Economist, Contrarians. That is the natural trajectory of life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think...
I'm teasing you, but you should explain what you think about the future of media, which I think is very fascinating.
So I think narratives in business are often a little bit oversold, and everyone says that we're entering the era of this or the era of that. And so I want to be a little bit cautious about saying definitively everything has changed. Actually, normally things don't change that much. But in media, we often see these big platform shifts, and as a result, some businesses really capitalize on those and reach colossal scale. And so to me, it seems very apparent, particularly outside of Australia, what the future of media looks like. So obviously we've heard Adam and Adir talk a lot about the Acquired podcast, sometimes talking about Prof G Media. There's some sports podcasts out there as well.
It's got Vox, who James Murdoch just bought, Pivot, and a bunch of other great podcasts.
Yeah. And they do have some common characteristics, and that is that if we were to set up a media company today, the central unit would not be a website and a masthead. No one's going out and setting up a thing and saying, look, this is the new version of the New York Times.
Except, what was the one that...
Capital Brief.
And Free Press, is that what it's called in the US?
Free Press is really built on the brand of the founder.
That's true. No, you're absolutely right. I kind of inadvertently reinforced your point there.
And I think some other trends worth paying attention to within the Free Press, which is very much a sort of reaction to a period of pretty consistent progressivism within the media. And so, I mean, I'll let others pontificate about that. But yeah, as I said, the central unit would be a pod. The Prof G team talk a lot about how pods are really kind of just raw material for clips that go on and reach hundreds of thousands of people. And so what does a great pod look like? Well, I would say it requires 2 people who are definitely insiders. So what we want people is sort of someone that the audience can come to and hear things that they wouldn't necessarily get elsewhere.
Which is different to traditional media, which is built around journalists who, by definition, pride themselves on being outsiders.
100%. So, again, I do not think that's going away. I do not think that the age of journalism is over, but I do think that when people come to a pod, what they want to hear is things that they wouldn't be able to hear elsewhere. And I think there's a supplementary value. So if the value of journalism is finding stuff that other people don't know about, there's a supplementary value of informed conversation that helps you understand those facts. And I think that's what we commonly see from the great pods. I think the hosts need to be opinionated, which obviously is pretty tough for Adam, but we're doing our best to kind of encourage that.
He does a certain kind of training every week just to be a bit more extroverted, coming out of his shell slowly but surely.
Give him a couple of coffees.
Doesn't drink coffee.
Imagine what it would be like.
Anyway, imagine what it would be like.
Sitting here.
Yeah, imagine what you would be like with anything. Like I don't know, diet of water and air, and exactly. Like this is what you're like.
Never had a great need for cocaine, so that's for sure. Imagine how fast I talk.
So yeah, we need informed insiders. We need sort of people who are very prepared to share what they think, and I think we also need great rapport. And so I have genuinely loved The Contrarians since you guys launched the pod. Adam and I have been talking about what might be next for me anyway, and so we bounced around a few ideas, and I'd come to him for advice. And the last thing he came to me with, I remember the conversation ended by me saying, I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't say The Contrarians. Like, The Contrarians is the thing that I desperately want a reason to go and do. Like, I think it's got huge potential. I think you two are frequently hilarious, but sort of always very informed. And so that's the thing I really want to do. And I remember sort of like saying it and thinking, like, what have I done? Everything suggests this is a bad idea. Like I've got a good job. I'm at the stage of life where I need stable income, all those sorts of things. But this is the sort of the thing I want to be like tempted into.
I would suggest it's a good idea. Everyone except me would say it's a bad idea. Except maybe Adam would say it's a good idea as well. I think he would say it's a good idea. But I think, this comes down to this whole discussion about startups really, in a sense, which is you can spend your whole life working for a big and successful business and doing really well and getting paid excellently. Sure. But occasionally some people have an opportunity to do something that's theirs. Yeah. And when Adam introed you, he didn't say, you've come to work as the CEO. He said, you've come on board as a co-founder of this, what do you call it, Contrarians Co. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Good to know you've done a lot of work into the shareholders agreement you signed. Yeah, Contrarians Podcast Co.
I know I signed something. It's like the most documentation I've done for a while. Learned that lesson. Didn't learn the reading lesson. No, I read it. It was a work of beautiful
prose.
Fiction. It was excellent. So I think, like, you got this window to do something where you're the master of your own destiny, and it will, like, we can do our bit, but ultimately whether this becomes what it has the potential to be or not is down to you, which, no pressure, 100% pressure, but that is a great position to be in. Like, that must be a different way to wake up in the morning.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've teased Adam enough. Like, if I can take the opportunity
to tease me.
The most enjoyable process about the pre-signing discussion was I went for I think it was my second coffee with Adir, and I used one of my lines, which is, tell me what you think the most likely path to this not working out is. And And I thought Adir would have this really sort of cerebral business analysis. Like, oh, look, I've thought about the P&L, I've thought about the balance sheet. And he paused, looked in the sky and said, well, you obviously understand media and you're obviously pretty smart. So I think it will just be whether you're prepared to work hard enough. and I left sort of angry. And I'm like, now I have something to prove.
Isn't that the answer?
Evil genius.
But at least
Absolutely. But when you talk about what it means to be an entrepreneur, I mean, look, this isn't like like free therapy, but I think a big part of trying to launch your own thing is a degree of dissatisfaction and sort of almost insecurity, like you've got something to prove. And I look at the Contrarians and I think, could I imagine this being a much bigger thing? Could I imagine this being something that's got hundreds of thousands of listeners and we take it on the road and it's got a great subscription product? Do I think that the way you two talk about business is something that a lot of people get value from? Like, absolutely. And so now I've just got to activate the chip on my shoulder to go and make that a reality. And that's a lot of work and obviously good choices and all those sorts of things. But I feel very, very strongly that this thing has huge potential. And so again, to use Adir's words, like take a position that feels quite contrarian, go all in, and then be right.
Yeah.
So I've got the first two bits and now I've got to do that.
I think when it comes to hard work, like having known you for 6 or 7 years, like you've always been a founder in a non-founder's body in many ways, where obviously you're kind of like you're a late stage founder at private media, saving that business, but you fit very naturally into founder mode. There's a lot of people, we work with a lot of people, both of us work with thousands of people, and some people have that ability to be a founder, some people just don't. You just don't have it. And that's not a criticism of someone who's not. We don't want 500 Adam Schwabs at this place. It wouldn't be a great place.
2. We don't want 2. 1 is the perfect number. We don't want 0.
Maybe 100.
0. Well, no, 0 it doesn't exist. But 2, at some point, there's a huge fight between founders, is my guess.
No, so I mean co-founder. I mean people who work in the business.
No, I know, but no
one.
one. There can be no Adam that works in a business. I don't think you are. You are not built for. You think you are. Your personality is built for working.
I was an employee of a law firm and was
for 5 seconds.
I worked there for 4 years,
and now all you talk about is how great it is to not be a lawyer.
Well, yeah, that's because being a lawyer sucks.
And some other disparaging remarks about lawyers.
Being a lawyer sucks, but like working at a law firm was fine. Like I had no issue working there. Anyway, that's a digression.
And so I think there's no substitute for hard work. Basically, there can be all sorts of, when people say work smarter, not harder, that cliche? Yeah. It's rubbish, right? It is work smart and harder.
Yeah.
Whatever you're working, work harder and be smarter, but also harder. I think there is just no substitute for it. And ultimately, that is I just want to say this was before my time. Just to put that out there.
Cart?
What's the song? The Bee Gees song "Staying Alive." I think
before your time?
But way before my time. It was like 40 years before my time.
You're like 9.
Wasn't that from the 60s?
1977. That
I
song
was born.
released.
I was born then. Yeah, I was later than I thought. So I think that is.
They died pretty quickly, actually, to tell a couple of the Bee Gees. Anyway, go on.
Oh, do they? I don't know where to take that conversation. My condolences to their families. So basically, that song is the theme song for a lot of things that I'm involved in life. That's the theme song when I play my coach in tennis. Yeah. I just try to stay in the points and wait for an opportunity. But that is the theme song of startups.
Totally.
Because basically the world is trying to kill your business and you have to try to figure out how to make it work.
The federal Labor government's trying to kill your business.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to that. And so I think that is really the moral of successful startups. It doesn't always work. In fact, it mostly doesn't even when you work really hard.
Yeah.
But the chances of succeeding without
that's table stakes. You can't
succeed without the hard work.
You've got to be pretty smart. You've got to work super hard, and you've got to be really lucky. Like you got to have all of it. Yeah. Like without the luck, doesn't matter how hard you work. There's lots of hard workers who do 3 jobs and as Uber drivers and cleaners and don't have the luck that we've had. So you need to have a combination of hard work and luck. It's if anything, luck's the most important. But
agreed.